All right, today I am going to do just a really short video on how to cast off for my Blanket of Knowledge Knit Along participants for the BOK Newbies Knit Along. So this is just a little swatch that I have made with them, you know, showing them the difference between garter stitch, I have a garter stitch border, and stockinette here in the middle. And then I show them how to knit an I-cord. So this is just a little piece of knitting we're going to bind off. So the great thing about knitting is everything is a variation on knitting and purling. So if you can knit and you can purl, then you can do just about anything else you might want to do. So you already know how to knit, then you already know how to bind off. The first step is just knit one, then you knit a second stitch. And what we're going to do here is slip this stitch off the needle and over this stitch. Now, we're just going to knit one more, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to knit this, or slip this stitch off the needle over this stitch. So here we go. And then you're just going to keep on doing that until you have one stitch left. Now, sometimes you might have something that tells you to bind off in pattern or to bind off purlwise. So we've bound off a few stitches knitwise here by just knitting the next stitch and slipping the previous one over and off. I'm going to show you how to bound off with a purl stitch if for some reason you were wanting to do that. So of course when we purl, we bring our yarn in front, between our needles and in front, always between your needles. And we're just going to purl, just like we've learned, and do the same exact thing. We're going to slip this stitch off and over. And then I'm going to purl. And I'm going to knit this, slip this stitch off and over. Now if you were doing ribbing, you might purl one over your purl column, and then you might need to move back, knit one over your knit column. You see, it doesn't matter, it's all going to bind off either way. Then if you needed to purl one again, you could just switch back and forth. The only thing different than your regular knitting that you've already learned to do is just instead of keeping on, you're just slipping that one over and off your needle. Now, of course, when you get done, you're going to have one stitch left, and you're just going to pull your yarn through that one stitch. So you make a nice big loop here. You're just going to pull your tail through and cut. You could cut right up here. And there you have a bound off piece of fabric. You can see the edge is very neat and tidy. So the cast on edge is not quite the same as the bind off edge. If you want identical bind offs and cast ons, there's a variety of different techniques, but if you're using the basic long tail cast on, it's going to look like this, and a basic bind off is going to look like this. Good luck!